You can't expect someone else to make you happy if you cannot first do that for yourself. Hello, lovely. You are listening to the Love Life with Court show, and as always, I'm your host, Courtney. If this is your first time tuning into the pod, well, welcome to the family, and if not, here's a warm welcome back. Without further ado, let's get started on today's episode. Hello, love. As always, I hope you're having the most amazing day. Today, we are doing day 4 of my 10 days of self-love project. You can go check out the link in the show notes below to download my ebook for completely for free. And if you're not interested in downloading it, that's completely okay, because you can just follow along on the podcast. I've already done day 1, 2, and 3, and today is day 4. The focus is embracing your own company. I always like to live by this quote: if you have the ability to love yourself first. And a big component of self-love is being able to make it tangible and being able to show that you enjoy spending time with yourself and that you love yourself and that you would choose your company over any other person's company because you just love being with yourself that much. And my biggest thing when it comes to that point is when you begin to enjoy your own company, the company that you surround yourself with changes drastically because you have higher standards for who you will surround yourself with and the energy that you will surround yourself with. Now, however, when it comes to embracing your own company, some people love their alone time to the extent that possibly they spend too much time alone. And then there are others who find it impossible to be alone and will do just about anything to avoid this, which includes surrounding themselves with people who can be harmful to them. Now, how can we find a balance in between maybe spending too much time with yourself and surrounding yourself with others that maybe don't deserve to be in your company, but your self-love may just be so low that you will allow yourself to spend time with anyone just so you can avoid being alone? Well, if you've been following along on this pod for a while, we are going to go to the one and only Sadhguru's advice. Sadhguru was a big influence on my journey of self-love and just overall self-development and self-improvement. And when I learned about embracing your own company, he just touches on it so well. He talks about understanding that the more lonely and depressed you feel, the more that you crave for company. And the more joyful and exuberant you become, the less you crave company, the less that you will need company. So if you feel lonely when you're alone, that typically means that you are in bad company. If we feel alone, if we feel misunderstood, it's a huge reflection of that is the company that we are surrounding ourselves with. So if you are often in your alone time and just craving the company of others, it's time to reflect on maybe you're in bad company. Maybe it's time to take some alone time. Maybe now is the best time to do so. And begin to understand how you can improve your own company and enjoy spending time with yourself. Because if you enjoyed spending time with yourself, you wouldn't feel lonely very often. And Sadhguru puts this so well in saying, if you're only fueled and pleasant with the company of others, this is a manufactured state. So this is when one craves activity, the company of others, to live in a state that has been programmed and is not actually a part of you. So when you are continuously maybe super high energy, always happy, you're that person that says, oh, blah, 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 is always happy. This person is just never upset. It's typically because you have a manufactured state. You're programmed to always be in this state of happiness or joy or pleasant company when you're around others. And possibly you're constantly putting yourself out into the world like you're so joyful when you're actually not. And this is the hardest life in the world. When you're not happy to show everyone that you are happy, it can cost a phenomenal amount of life. And I was guilty of this for a long time. I used to always say time to put my mask on, because the minute I would go out into the world, everyone thought I was the most positive and most happy person. And it wasn't until that I actually reflected on what my inner state was most of the time, that I understood that I'm actually such a small percentage of happy and joyful and pleasant, and a lot of it is just this manufactured state that I have. And until I worked through that time, I didn't actually become that pleasant, joyful person that I wanted to be and really be able to embrace all emotions and all states of myself. So there are some people who are just so open with their emotions. They're like an open book, who you know when they're happy and you know when they're upset. And on the other hand, there are people who pretend all the time, which takes an ample amount of energy to keep up the act. And how are you able to enjoy your own company if even when you're surrounded by others, it's just a facade? It's not who you truly are. And what Sadhguru touches on is that the only thing that saves people when they're in this state is that they never do anything steadily. So maybe when you're out, you're joyful, you're happy, you're positive, everyone loves you, and then you go home and you are just alone, you feel blah, you're never really doing anything steadily. And so you're not reaping the consequences of these emotions. You never learn the consequences of being in this constant state, and understanding that emotions are meant to be felt. They're meant to be embraced. And when you can embrace your own emotions, you're able to embrace your own company and embrace who you are and loving who that is. And to give you an example, you don't understand what living a life of joy looks like because you are not steadily joyful. You don't understand what living a life of misery looks like because you are not steadily miserable. And if you want to be angry for 24 hours nonstop and you will get enlightened. Just keeping it on will allow you to come to a certain realization. That's all it takes. Is if you are constantly putting yourself out there as someone who is not who you truly are, and then when you come home, you are a completely different person, you're not really learning the consequences of what does it look like to just be who you are, embracing every aspect of you. Everything, every cell, every atom in the existence can be a doorway to the beyond if you go steadily at it. And the problem is people keep shifting. This is happening in the world today like never before. And people think that it's a virtue that their attention spans are very short. But because we keep shifting, nothing really happens. We're not having these aha moments of this is a life of joy. This is a life of me embracing myself. This is a life of embracing all emotions. This is the life of surrounding myself with company that deserves to be around me, because we are never really aligned with what we want in life and what emotions we want to align ourselves with. So as Sadhguru says, go wherever you want to go, but steadily. And along this journey of self-love, you can obviously fall into a sense of reflection, and possibly that can bring up some difficult emotions. But if you stay steady with that, you will begin to understand the consequences of this in a very positive way. If you stay steady with embracing the times where you don't enjoy being with yourself and sitting in that and understanding why, if you stay steady with this and not trying to seek some outside stimulation, surrounding yourselves with people, just any kind of company to get you out of that mindset, you're not truly digging deep into that and understanding the consequences of this state. And essentially, if you continue to not prioritize what you deserve, and that is embracing your own company, embracing the emotions that go on underneath, understanding why you don't enjoy spending time with yourself, you're never going to get to the point or the positive consequence of why. Why is that going on? Why do you not enjoy spending time with yourself? Why are you constantly fighting these emotions? And the digger we deep, obviously, the more we're enlightened and the more self-awareness we have. The more self-awareness we have, the more we're able to work on things like self-love and embracing your own company. So in short, sometimes you really just need to be alone, not to be lonely, but to enjoy your free time being yourself and learning who that is. And the more time you spend being yourself, whether that is in a positive way, like having joyful moments or really digging deep into some emotions that maybe feel uncomfortable to do, the more time you're doing that, the more this will reflect in all of your interactions in your life, including the interactions you have with others and the interactions you create with yourself. So at this point, if you struggle to spend time on your own, to be in your own company, you have become disconnected with you. Possibly you've never really connected with who that is. Possibly you have siblings. You've always been around people. You've always had the opportunity to not really deal with the underlying emotions that's going on. And you've become so acclimated to just surrounding yourself with any stimuli, any people, that you don't really know who you are at the end of the day. And you're not really sure what embracing your own company looks like and enjoying spending time with just yourself. So how can you begin to embrace your own company as someone who feels the need to surround themselves with others? The easiest answer I can give you is do absolutely nothing for 5 minutes of your day every day. Now, the thought of this probably sounds absolutely unsettling to you, and that's probably because it's been a long time since you've allowed yourself to just be. And that could be anything, just being in the emotions that are underlying within you, being in an environment where there's no stimuli, being around nobody, being just with yourself. An experiment by setting just a 5-minute timer. That's it. And this is 5 minutes with no television, no music, no phone, no internet, no podcast, no books. Find a comfortable place to just sit or lie. Even if this is driving to work in the morning, just setting 5 minutes of complete silence. The best I would suggest is like going into a room where there's very minimal stimulation around you, or where you can just stare out of a window. And if that's too sedentary, try a repetitive task such as knitting or washing dishes, or something where you don't need a lot of focus to do it, and just let your mind wander. Truly wander and see where it takes you, and don't be discouraged if it doesn't take you very far at first. With time, your mind will get used to this new freedom, and the more freedom you give your mind to do so, this habit of being alone with your thoughts will enhance your creativity and your focus and your self-control and self-awareness and perspective, and that can all support your journey to understand who you are and embracing time with only you. The greater picture of all of this is when you spend more time with yourself, you begin to value who you are and the time you will share with others, more specifically, who it is you are sharing that time with. And this all relates back and stems back to how you love yourself. If you are in a state right now, like I've touched on a few times throughout the episode, where you are just surrounding yourself with people because you fear being alone, take some time to figure out why and be alone. Because the more you do so, the more you spend time alone, the more you value the relationships you have with others and the relationships you have with yourself. And when you're able to really understand what relationships are serving you and what relationships are there to save you, possibly, you begin to have a new perspective on who you will share your time with. And you do so because you love yourself. You embrace who you are. And you don't need other people to do that for you. And I'll leave you with this. You can't expect someone else to make you happy if you cannot first do that for yourself. I always like to think I love myself so much, and I love myself more than anyone else could. And because of that, I will never allow someone in my life that cannot love me as much as I can myself. That's today's episode, and a friendly reminder to not only be kind to others, but also to your beautiful, amazing self.